Meditation can save you money? Yes, it's true. Meditation can save you money, and it can do it in many different ways. However, today, I'm going to talk about one way in particular. Okay, so after speaking to a lot of meditators, and from personal experience, I've noticed that when you meditate, you tend to want things less. In fact, you're even more grateful with what you already have. You see, when you don't meditate, it's really hard to get out of that cycle of wanting the latest gadget or that new jacket or new pair of shoes. And we tend to buy that stuff just because we think that if we buy something new, it's gonna make us feel better. Retail therapy? I mean, we just worked really hard. We deserve it, don't we? Well, I think you all know that when you do buy that new something, it's more likely that you start to feel a regret instead of a satisfaction. If anything, you might get a quick hit of dopamine, but that's it. And you can tell that something just doesn't feel quite right, but you choose to ignore it. And then you end up doing the same thing again next week. Deep down, you know that things don't make you feel better, but you keep buying them anyway. And society's got a lot to do with making us think this way too. Everyone else is doing it, it's normal, isn't it? So, how does meditation help? Well, as I've mentioned before, meditation helps us focus on the present. And if we practice focusing on the present, we learn to enjoy and be satisfied in the present. We don't really think about the future with that new shiny thing in it, as we're not chasing it in the first place. We start to really appreciate the now. In fact, you might realize that you have way too many things, and you'll need to start selling stuff. Now meditation isn't only saving you money, but it's also making you money. More importantly though, when you have less, or you start getting rid of what you don't need, you start to realize that you're able to think much better than before. It starts to get easier to focus. Why is that? Well, when we have a lot of things that we don't need, or even start to not have enough room in our house to keep it all there, we consider it to be clutter. And we might not realize it at the time, but this is actually affecting our mind. All those things that we have are in some way affecting our ability to think. It's like a spam folder that's overflowing in our minds, and therefore we're running out of space. And just like a computer gets slow if we don't look after it, we're going to get slow too. We need to empty the spam folder in our mind so we can think clearer, and in turn this will bring more focus. And of course, this is pretty much minimalism. However, I believe if you approach it utilizing meditation, it'll happen much more naturally. Apart from just buying things, we're also better at deciding how we should really spend our money. Instead of just going out and having drinks all the time, we start to be much happier staying in. That feeling of FOMO doesn't really affect you, as you're always happy staying in the moment. And I know, you're probably thinking, but Alex, that's boring. Well, what you'll find is that meditation also helps to get rid of the feeling of being bored. As I've stated before, you start to be curious about everything much more. The things that you used to take for granted start to be fascinating. Everything does, because for the first time you're actually noticing them. And of course, it's proven that meditation reduces stress and anxiety. But do you know what else reduces stress and anxiety? How about having no credit card debt? In fact, a recent study done in September 2021 found out that having bad debt was linked to having bad health. An article taken from the New York Times states, "The stress of carrying card debt through adulthood is linked to poor health, including joint pain or stiffness that interferes with daily activities," a recent study from the University of Missouri found. Beyond the worries about repaying debt, one reason for poor health may be that people with high debt have little money left to pay for resources that protect their health, the study said. The article goes on to say how having a credit debt is stressful in itself, as we're spending money that we don't actually have at the time. And unfortunately, because everyone does it, we see a credit card as more of a convenience. And plus, you get rewards sometimes when you make a purchase. And those rewards are so good. In the end, we use a credit card because most of us want it straight away. We don't care about what we have to deal with later. The thing is, even though we feel that we're not worried about it, it's actually subconsciously in our mind every day, because if we don't pay it back on time, we're gonna have to pay interest. Of course that's gonna stress you out. Okay, we now know that credit card debt doesn't only just affect you mentally, but it can also lead to actual physical health issues in the future. Makes sense. Healthy mind, healthy body. So, meditation is going to help you regardless in all aspects of life, but it'll also help you pay off your credit card debt because you'll be spending less, therefore having more money when you actually need it, and you won't have to spend it on your health, as you'll probably already be healthy from having a daily meditation practice. And if you did need to or want to spend the money, we know that meditation helps you make better decisions, as I explain further in this video. Seriously, with meditation, it's a win-win situation. In fact, could it be irresponsible to not meditate? But don't take my word for it, give it a try. I'll leave links to the study and article down below. If this video has given you value, please hit the like button, subscribe. I'll see you next week. I'm Alex. Later, Meditator. Make no mistake,